For years, millions of viewers watched a family bakery become one of television's biggest success stories. Cakes grew larger, the crowds grew bigger, and the man at the center of it all became a household name. From a small business in New Jersey to global fame, the journey seemed unstoppable. But behind the celebrations were pressures, setbacks, and unexpected challenges that changed everything. How did one of TV's sweetest success stories become a tale filled with uncertainty and struggle? Long before television cameras filled the bakery with lights and microphones, Carlo's Bakery was simply a neighborhood business in Hoboken, New Jersey. The shop stood on a busy street where customers came for fresh pastries, cakes, and bread. For many local families, it was more than a bakery. It was part of everyday life. Birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, and celebrations often included creations from Carlo's Bakery. Behind the counter, however, was a family working tirelessly to keep the business running. The bakery had been built through years of dedication and sacrifice. At the center of that story was the Valastro family. They treated the bakery not just as a source of income, but as a family legacy. One of the most important figures in that legacy was Buddy Valastro Sr. He worked long hours and devoted himself completely to the business. His goal was simple. He wanted to create something that could support his family and continue for generations. As a young boy, Buddy Valastro Jr. spent countless hours inside the bakery. While other children were playing outside, he often watched bakers mixing dough, decorating cakes, and preparing orders before sunrise. The bakery became his classroom. The smell of fresh bread filled the air every morning. Flour covered the work tables. Ovens stayed hot throughout the day. Without realizing it, Buddy was learning lessons that would shape the rest of his life. His father taught him the importance of hard work. Every cake mattered. Every customer mattered. Every detail mattered. The lessons were simple but powerful. Work hard. Respect people. Take pride in what is created. As the years passed, Buddy became more involved in the business. He learned how to bake. He learned how to decorate cakes. He learned how to handle customers. Most importantly, he learned how much responsibility came with running a family business. Then, everything changed. In 1994, tragedy struck the Valastro family. Buddy's father passed away. The loss was devastating. For the family, it was not only an emotional blow, but also a business crisis. The person who had guided the bakery for years was suddenly gone. At the time, Buddy was still very young. Many people questioned whether he was ready to take on such an enormous responsibility. Running a bakery was not easy. The work started before dawn and often ended late at night. There were bills to pay, employees to manage, and customers who expected quality every single day. Some wondered if the bakery could survive. Others believed the family might eventually be forced to sell. But Buddy had different plans. Instead of walking away from the challenge, he stepped forward. The loss of his father became a turning point. Determined to honor his father's memory, he threw himself into the business. The pressure was immense. Every day brought new challenges. Yet each challenge strengthened his determination. The young baker worked long hours perfecting his skills. He studied techniques. He practiced cake decorating whenever possible. He experimented with new ideas while still respecting the traditions that had made Carlo's Bakery successful. Slowly, his confidence grew. Customers began noticing his talent. His cakes became more detailed. His creativity became more ambitious. Word spread through the community. Meanwhile, the family remained at the center of everything. Brothers, sisters, cousins, and relatives all played important roles in keeping the bakery running. Like any family business, there were disagreements. There were stressful days. There were moments when emotions ran high. But there was also loyalty. The bakery brought everyone together. Years later, viewers would see these relationships on television and become fascinated by the family dynamic. But during those early years, there were no cameras. There was only family. There was only hard work. And there was a shared mission to keep the bakery alive. As the business stabilized, Buddy began dreaming bigger. He respected tradition, but he also wanted to push boundaries. He wanted Carlo's Bakery to stand out. Instead of making ordinary cakes, he started creating cakes that felt like works of art. His imagination became one of his greatest strengths. Each new project gave him a chance to prove himself. Wedding cakes became larger. Designs became more elaborate. Customers began requesting increasingly creative creations. The bakery's reputation continued to grow. Soon, Carlo's bakery was attracting attention beyond Hoboken. People traveled from neighboring towns to place orders. Special events featured cakes that became conversation pieces. The business was evolving. What had once been a small neighborhood bakery was becoming something much larger. Still, success did not happen overnight. The family continued working exhausting hours. There were sacrifices behind every achievement. Birthdays were missed. Vacations were rare. Many days began before sunrise and ended long after dark. Yet nobody complained. They understood what was at stake. The bakery represented more than a business. It represented the dreams of an entire family. As the years passed, Buddy's reputation as a cake artist continued to grow. His confidence increased. His skills improved. His vision expanded. What started as a young man's determination to honor his father was becoming something extraordinary. Inside the bakery walls, the foundation for future success was quietly being built. The talent was there. The family story was there. The passion was there. All the ingredients for something special already existed. The world simply had not discovered it yet. And then, at the moment nobody expected, an opportunity arrived that would change the future of Carlo's bakery forever. But a single television opportunity was about to transform the bakery into something nobody could have imagined. By the late 2000s, Carlo's bakery had already earned a strong reputation. Customers knew the bakery for its beautiful cakes, family atmosphere, and growing creativity. Buddy Valastro had spent years building his skills and expanding the business. The bakery was doing well. But what happened next would take the family far beyond anything they had ever imagined. Television producers were searching for unique stories. Reality television was becoming one of the most popular forms of entertainment in America. Networks wanted authentic people, interesting workplaces, and stories that viewers could connect with. Carlo's bakery had all of those ingredients. There was a talented cake artist. There was a busy family business. There were colorful personalities. And there was plenty of drama. When producers first visited the bakery, they immediately saw potential. The ovens were constantly running. Customers came in with unusual requests. Family members argued, laughed, and worked side by side. Every day brought a new challenge. The bakery already felt like a television show before cameras were even turned on. Soon, filming began. For the Valastro family, it was a completely new experience. Cameras followed employees through crowded workspaces. Microphones captured conversations. Producers asked questions and documented every major cake project. At first, adjusting to this new reality was not easy. The family had spent years working privately. Now their daily lives were being recorded for a national audience. No one knew exactly what would happen. Then in 2009, everything changed. Cake Boss premiered on television. Almost immediately, viewers became fascinated. The show offered something different. It combined incredible cake creations with genuine family relationships. Audiences watched giant wedding cakes being assembled. They watched impossible deadlines create stress. They watched family members joke with each other one moment and argue the next. The chemistry felt real. That authenticity became one of the show's greatest strengths. Viewers were not just watching cakes. They were watching people. And they loved it. Week after week, ratings continued to climb. The audience grew larger. Soon, millions of viewers were tuning in regularly. The small bakery in Hoboken was becoming one of the most recognized bakeries in the world. As the show gained popularity, customers began arriving from across the country. Many traveled hundreds of miles just to visit Carlo's bakery. Long lines formed outside the building. Tourists posed for photographs. Fans hoped to catch a glimpse of Buddy or another member of the family. The bakery had become a destination. For local residents, the transformation was astonishing. The same bakery that had quietly served the neighborhood for decades was suddenly attracting global attention. Meanwhile, The pressure inside the bakery increased. Television audiences expected bigger cakes. Customers expected more elaborate designs. Each season raised expectations. The team constantly searched for new ways to impress viewers. Some cakes weighed hundreds of pounds. Others featured moving parts, special effects, or unusual themes. Every project seemed larger than the one before it. Buddy became known for accepting challenges that many bakers would refuse. If someone wanted a giant race car cake, he found a way. If they wanted a life-size sculpture made of cake, he accepted the challenge. As audiences watched these creations come to life, his reputation continued to grow. Soon, Buddy Valastro was no longer known only as a baker. He had become a television star. Interviews followed. Public appearances increased. Fans recognized him wherever he went. His name became closely connected with cake artistry around the world. But success created new opportunities as well. Networks wanted more content. Additional television projects began appearing. Spin-off series expanded the brand. Business partnerships followed. Merchandise was introduced. Books were published. What had started as a local bakery was evolving into a major business empire. At the same time, maintaining that success required enormous effort. The family still had a bakery to run. Orders still had to be completed. Customers still expected quality. Television fame did not reduce the workload. If anything, it increased it. Long filming days were added to already demanding schedules. Family members found themselves balancing two worlds at once. One world existed inside the bakery. The other existed in front of millions of viewers. The pressure sometimes became overwhelming. Arguments that might once have remained private now appeared on television. Stressful moments became part of the show's story. The cameras captured both triumphs and frustrations. Yet audiences continued watching because the relationships felt genuine. The Valastro family was not perfect, and that made them relatable. As the years passed, Cake Boss became one of the most successful food-related reality shows ever produced. The bakery's name became recognized around the world. For many viewers, Carlo's bakery represented the American dream. A family business had risen from humble beginnings to international fame. It seemed like an unstoppable success story. From the outside, everything looked perfect. The bakery was thriving. The show was popular. The brand was expanding. And Buddy Valastro stood at the center of it all. But behind the growing empire, new challenges were beginning to emerge. The bigger the business became, the harder it was to manage. The demands of fame continued increasing, and hidden pressures were quietly building beneath the surface. Yet none of those challenges were visible to most fans. At least not yet. Because while the world celebrated the success of Cake Boss, the next chapter of the story was already beginning. And the consequences of rapid growth would soon test everything the family had worked so hard to build. Yet as the empire expanded across the country, cracks were beginning to appear beneath the surface. At the height of its success, the Cake Boss brand seemed unstoppable. Carlo's Bakery was no longer just a bakery in Hoboken, New Jersey. It had become a national phenomenon. Millions of people watched the television show. Fans traveled from around the world to visit the famous bakery. New business opportunities appeared almost every week. For Buddy Valastro and his family, it was a dream that had taken years to build. But with every new success came new responsibilities. And those responsibilities were growing fast. As the popularity of Cake Boss continued to rise, plans for expansion followed. New bakery locations were opened in different cities. The goal was simple. If customers could not come to Hoboken, Carlo's Bakery would come to them. Opening new locations sounded exciting. But expanding a business is never easy. Each new bakery required employees, equipment, management, and significant financial investment. Every location had to maintain the same quality that customers expected from the original bakery. That was a difficult challenge. The further the business expanded, the harder it became to control every detail. Meanwhile, the television side of the business was also demanding attention. Filming schedules became more intense. New projects required additional travel. Interviews, appearances, and promotional events filled the calendar. Buddy often found himself balancing multiple responsibilities at the same time. One day, he might be designing a complex cake. The next day, he could be filming a television segment. Then he might be traveling for a business meeting. The pace was relentless. From the outside, it appeared glamorous. But behind the scenes, maintaining that level of success required enormous sacrifice. Long workdays became normal. Family time became harder to protect. The demands of fame never seemed to slow down. At the same time, the family itself was experiencing changes. For years, the Valastro family had worked closely together inside one bakery. Now, they were helping manage a growing business empire. That created new challenges. Different opinions emerged about how the company should grow. Some family members focused on expansion. Others worried about protecting the traditions that had made Carlo's bakery special. Like many family businesses, disagreements sometimes occurred. Television cameras occasionally captured those moments. Viewers often saw arguments followed by laughter and reconciliation. But the reality was that managing both family relationships and business responsibilities could be difficult. Success had brought opportunities. It had also brought pressure. As the years passed, the entertainment world began changing as well. The television industry was evolving. New streaming platforms appeared. Viewer habits shifted. Competition for audience attention increased dramatically. Reality television remained popular, but audiences now had more choices than ever before. Networks constantly searched for the next big hit. Shows that once dominated ratings faced growing competition. For Cake Boss, staying relevant required constant reinvention. Every season needed fresh ideas. Every episode needed exciting moments. Every cake needed to feel bigger and more impressive than the last. That pressure affected everyone involved. The challenge was no longer becoming successful. The challenge was remaining successful. As audiences watched giant cakes being delivered and celebrated, few realized how much effort was required behind the scenes. Many projects involved weeks of planning. Teams worked late into the night. Mistakes could be costly. Deadlines could be unforgiving. The pressure to meet expectations never disappeared. And then there was the public spotlight. Fame changes life in ways many people never expect. For Buddy, everyday activities became different. Fans recognized him in airports, restaurants, and public events. Photographs and autograph requests became common. While he appreciated the support, life was no longer private. Every public appearance carried expectations. Every business decision attracted attention. The success that had opened so many doors also created new pressures. Meanwhile, Carlo's bakery had become larger than anyone could have imagined during those early days in Hoboken. The family business was now a brand. And brands come with responsibilities. Customers expected consistency. Partners expected results. Television networks expected ratings. Employees depended on the company's success. The stakes were higher than ever before. Despite these challenges, Buddy remained committed to pushing forward. He continued creating cakes. He continued filming. He continued expanding opportunities for the business. To many fans, he appeared unstoppable. But even the most successful people face obstacles. And sometimes those obstacles arrive without warning. As the years moved forward, no one could predict the event that would soon change everything. Not a business setback. Not a ratings decline. Not a family disagreement. Something far more personal. Something that threatened the very skill that had built Buddy's career. The man known around the world for his hands and creativity was about to face a challenge unlike any he had ever experienced. And when it happened, the future